Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Strong Collectors Podcast. I'm your host, Dakota, here with my co host, Jordan. And today we are taking a look at your collections. So, a few episodes back, I did an episode talking about kind of my opinions on how to display figures. And now we want to see what the listeners are displaying. So, this is going to
A
be
smash hit runaway success video, I must say, Dakota.
That's true. It is our
you
most
soloed
watched.
that one without me and just took right off. Don't get any ideas, but I'm
Yeah.
glad that everybody liked it so much.
I wasn't expecting it. I was just like, hey, we need a video to go up, and I've been wanting to talk about this for a little bit. And then apparently the people liked it. Well, I mean, some people didn't like it. They were kind of angry in the comments, but So before we get into the listener collections, we'll go ahead and show off our collections, a little deep dive, get into our psyche, how we like to display. Just because we like to display this way doesn't mean that's how you like to display. You got to display how you can, just depending on the room you've got. Jordan and I are both, well, I was in an apartment. Now I'm in a basement building a bus. But when I'm back to collecting and displaying my collection, it'll look something similar to what we have here. So here is what I had before we moved out of the apartment and started working on the bus. I kind of liked having the mixture of loose figures. You kind of see the sealed figures down there, kind of covered up by loose figures, got a little out of hand there at the end. But we've got comic books, posters, art. Got the Oni mask up there on the wall. Even the comic book boxes I like the more colorful ones out in the display area. I've got the cheaper white boxes and storage, but these ones I thought looked pretty cool for just like, stacking more figures on or more boxes. So
I do like that. I've wanted to do my comic book boxes in the background at some point or for a display, but haven't quite cracked out. Maybe just the space thing, but I think that's a really cool idea.
I think another thing for me, and I didn't mention this in the other video, is displaying the colors. It's like I try not to have too many colors stacked up on top of each other. So like with the shield and the Hydra display up there, it's a little bit hard because, you got like uniforms, but like when it's the Avengers, I try to like kind of space out the red and the blue so it doesn't get like too clumped up and it's a little bit easier to see. This is a symbiote display that I had going for a while. I really liked the way that Venom's wings kind of fill up a lot of that space up at the top. The Carnage
I love
drone.
the Carnage drones look really cool, man.
Yeah.
I always liked the way that you got those displayed.
Yeah. So it's not all of the symbiotes. I could fit more symbiotes on there, but I like to have each character with their own kind of space. Everybody's in somewhat of a dynamic pose, kind of spotlighting each character so that no one really gets lost. And it's also like, for me, I'm displaying for a YouTube background. So I want to like having depth. Like if I had figures behind these figures or boxes, I try to display like that, but it would just get lost on the camera. So this was kind of what I found would show up best as a background for me. And that's part of how I displayed. This was one of my favorites because it mixes loose figures, sealed figures, and a comic book. Got the acrylic risers in there. I'll have the link down in the description below for those, our affiliate links. A lot of folks really liked those from the last video, so I'll keep that link there. But this one was just kind of fun because you get the loose figures in kind of their dynamic poses, kind of showcasing how they come in package, and then the #1 comic issue. Another way I like to display in-box figures was mostly the retro cards, or I'm also trying to get I did get the Series 1 Marvel Legends all sealed. I think I'll probably try to hunt down the variants of those now. But when I was displaying the retro cards, I like to use them as kind of shelves for other figures so that I could mix in the loose figures with the sealed figures, still get them in somewhat of a dynamic pose depending on how much real estate there was on top of the box. Now, Jordan, we get into your stuff.
Yes, we do. So I have never really had the space even that you had, Dakota. So I had to make do with a little bit of a smaller quarters here. So this was an attempt to kind of blend, again, as you've said, kind of a mix of things. So I tried to do some like collected books, some graphic novels, some sealed figures. I think I I didn't steal it. I was going to get you that Galactus comic, which I did, but I thought I got to use this opportunity to make a little mini Dio scene with the characters fighting and stuff. So again, I think I agree with you for sure. I like having where the individual pieces can stand out. I think if it gets too cluttered, it kind of even bothers me, and then it looks much better as a background. So, and then I got the Stan Lee autograph up on the top.
Mm-hmm.
Can't not have that. Got to put that back.
We get a close up
somewhere.
of that here pretty soon.
Oh, okay. This is more recent. I started using those lights, which can change different colors. I don't know if it shows up the best in that picture, but we can link those lights. They're really pretty cheap, and they can cycle through a lot of different ones. But yeah, again, similar, trying to mix some comics, some figures, and up top is, of course, the monster display, which my wife helped a lot in. But just getting kind of those, I think those look cool in the boxes, the NECAs. So some of those I even left in the box that you can see. And yeah, just kind of putting a mix of things together. Oh, there's a little close up. Got the Spidey. Again, pretty simple. I think I'd like this one to have maybe had some more layers going on, but I did like putting in the Spider-Man 1990s phone holder. That's what I found out that is. I didn't realize that's what that was.
Yeah, I don't know where I got that or why I got that. I think it was part of a trade, and I was like, I mean, we're close on value, but I mean, what else do you got? And he was like, I got this thing. I was like, all right, throw it in. I'll give it to Joe.
I got it. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of fun. And I think I was excited to, this is pretty early on, I think, when I was first doing some stuff in this space here. So, yeah. And then these were some attempts. So I like, personally, to get the figures out of the display room and see how many I can get around the house. So I think this is kind of a fun way to do that. It's not a whole huge dio or anything, but even just mixing them in, I think it looks fun to have them like with your potted plant there and standing on some books. I really do like the way those pulp heroes look, especially that Flash Gordon. And man, I got to get that Phantom back out. Those are some sweet figures. But then the one on the left was an early version of just kind of putting figures in little mini scenes throughout. I think it worked a lot with the Ant-Man because those are actually like with scaled things. It's fun.
Yeah.
So that's another way if you're looking for ways to get your toys around the house. Maybe some pointers there if that's what you're interested in. And then during the Batman fever, Dakota, I was trying to get everything I could. I had the pins, I had the cup, I had the popcorn bucket cowl, even splurged on the McFarlane statue. And then those Batman posters from Little Caesars. I'm still trying to track down, I believe, the one with the Batmobile. So if anybody has that, I am very interested.
I will say, at first, I thought that this Batman statue, I was like, I really don't like this black and red theme that he's got going here. But when you put it on a display like this with the posters and the pins, and like, it really does look really good here. I like it.
Yeah, I thought it worked with an ensemble of everything there. Mm-hmm. So just kind of finding ways you can, again, utilize different pieces within your figures to kind of give it some different depth. And then got a little Spidey theme battle going on. This one I thought was pretty fun. I like that pose for the Shocker getting punched back there, but then using the Venom box. Just kind of doing a variety of things, I guess. Again, still was kind of figuring out how to use levels and that kind of thing. I think this could have benefited from some of those, but I kind of like the chaos of it, but you can still basically see what's going on. Mm-hmm. And then this is another great way to get your figures out into the house. My wife put in some acrylic shelves, and I thought, hey, these can be great to get some figures going. So we started doing that. I think it's fun to have them like color, just put the more colorful ones out, and then you can have them doing fun little poses. And for me, this is a way to have them doing what can be sort of the Sandwich Man style, but in a way that lets them still stand out because you still got the levels going on.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that was our collections. Let's get into our first shown collection by our listeners. First up, we've got Nicholas here, and he's got some of those acrylic risers, like I had mentioned, from my displays in both his X-Men and his Avengers display. Also, a lot of folks sent me a lot of pictures to keep Jordan and I from being here for several hours. I just picked out a few pictures from each person, but I do love the levels that he's got here. And you can tell that Nicholas is a true strong collector because if we zoom in, we can see Captain Hawkeye riding nuts to butts.
Nuts to butts.
That's
Is
from Collector Deep Cut.
That's right. One of my one of my favorite references in this show.
Yeah,
is
that totally broke you when I brought that
up. But he did it. He made it work. It actually is pretty. I think I think that looks good there. So yeah, I agree. I think it's a cool way to let the different characters stand out for sure.
And do you have any like how to make this better, or I mean, this looks pretty good to me. I mean, maybe you could fit like a small character.
Maybe I think something
right.
I was thinking the hover bike thing. If you could even move that Spidey over, like that would kind of cover up the stand. I think that I get it. You do what you got to do with stands and even the risers and stuff. But I think if you can disguise those, it makes it look a little better. Just because even for myself, my eyes for my own displays go right to the stands if I can't. I don't know if the technology is quite there yet for the toys, Dakota, but I hope someday.
All right. Next up, we've got Gav Schmidt. And this is, I think, kind of an in-progress picture. I've got another, I think, more full picture. So I'm going to go to the next one. Yeah, so this is his full setup of kind of a mix of street-level heroes to Avengers to X-Men. You can see some different custom soft goods pieces in here. You've got up in the corner Moon Knight there, and then you've got the custom jacket on Gambit, and I think that's it for custom pieces.
Yeah, definitely a cool ensemble shot. I mean, I think everybody's got it's a good way to blend all of them together. And I think the soft goods look cool. I think getting some suspension in is fun.
Yeah. You even got the lights going up and around it.
That's right. A little light.
Cool touch. I think if I was gonna, we'll try to give some like constructive criticism to folks here, so you can up your game a little bit if you want to. You don't have to take our advice if you don't want to. But these look like twist ties from like other action figures that they just use to put them up, which I think is very eco-friendly, very ingenuitive how to use things that people would just usually throw away. So, if you're trying to be eco-conscious, A+ for that. If you wanted to be a little bit more maybe hidden with the display, you could maybe use some fishing line, and that might hide a little bit better. But otherwise, it's still very cool display. And I love, this is a lot more packed into one shelf than what I would usually have. But the level risers back there really help. You can see each character. So very cool.
Marvel Legends EC has an incredibly strong wall, Dakota, or some really strong shelves, maybe both, because man, that's a lot of figures in one concentrated area. You got the HasLab, so I mean, I think right off the bat, that's a cool way that those are kind of bookends, but also stand out. Man, I mean, a lot of stuff. This would take a while to get all these set up, I gotta feel.
Imagine dusting day.
Right. Oh man, I couldn't. Or if one fell and you dominoed. But no, I like the different groupings. I think look really cool. I like that. Yeah, the Sentinel's got like a action scene going on. My only concern for me with this kind of stuff would be like the ones in the back that maybe get a little hidden, or things that maybe don't stand out as well, just since there are so many. But I think, if this is the style you want to go with, I think this is a good way to pack them all in.
Yeah. I was thinking if you added some lights, kind of like either you had Jordan or kind of like this display has up above, if you added some of those fairy lights, then you'd be able to see like the Joe Fixit Hulk back there, Ultron, because Abomination is really hidden by the shadows, so you could kind of backlight the underside of the shelving. I think that could up the game just a little bit more. Next up, we've got Rick, and this is, I think, just a super clean display. We've got the HasLab as the centerpiece, and then you've got each shelf is sort of a different team or setup, whether it's Cosmic, Avengers, more street level. You got the whole X-Men dio up top, which I think we got a close up of that. First, we start with Avengers.
Yeah.
You got the little dio stairs in here, light stands.
That vision laser beam's cool.
Yeah, I really like that. I don't know if he had to Dremel that or if that's just a sticky tack, or how that works, but that's a really cool idea. And I'm kind of surprised, but also not so surprised that Hasbro hasn't done that. Probably need an alternate head with the hole in it. Because people would be pretty upset if they got like Captain America with his shield with the holes.
Right.
Some people didn't like. So if you got a Vision just with a hole in his head, people might not be so excited. But here's the X-Men close up.
Oh, wow.
You got folks flying out of the wall with flight stands, and this is pretty good. I think he did send some more close-ups, but at least from this shot here, I can't see how these figures are up. I would assume fishing line or something.
Yeah.
But it's hidden really well where they're just suspended, which I guess you could also just like Photoshop out flight stands and stuff too if you're on that. I'm not going that hard with my photography, but all the figures here look really cool individually.
Yeah, those are really good dynamic poses. I mean, they all pretty much look like they're moving. And I think sometimes that can be tough to get that like forward movement thing.
Oh,
you know, like you can do side to side a lot easier, but I think this is really good displaying and posing for sure. I love that giant rock dio too. I wonder what that's from.
And there's a lot of, because Iceman's got his custom ice slide in here. Jean Grey has a custom effect. I would assume that's a custom cloud for Storm.
Yeah.
I think Jubilee might have some, unless those are from someone else. Magic's coming out of the Xerox portal. So, very cool.
Ramel has a couple shelves going on here, and it looks like, is this by Type Dakota? I think a little bit, right?
Yeah, you got like
kind of our Avengers, Age of Apocalypse. Yeah, and kind of that more approach to get them all lined up on your shelf. I think fitting in more figures with that. I like the 3 tiers is cool that you get that range.
I feel like this one is a little bit of a challenge with the depth of the shelf. It doesn't look like there's enough room to fit those acrylic risers on. So maybe, I mean, you could, like, I can see some flight stands in there, but maybe you could do like how I had my Heralds of Galactus, Silver Surfer, and Fire Lord. I had them strung up with the fishing line. You could just do a really short one and tack it on the underside of the shelf there. And that would give you a little bit more flying characters versus having to buy more flight stands. It would just stretch your money a little bit farther.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like space is a limiting factor here, but with what you have to work with, it's pretty nice.
Displaying Zion's collection, I'm, Dakota, of course, my big love for Spider-Man. I really appreciate this one. I think I always love a good Spidey versus the Sinister Six thing going on. This reminds me of one of those cool covers where you got them fighting everybody or maybe kind of running from them a bit because they're all ganging up on them. I think I like the use of, I'm trying to remember if we decided, do those look like books or are those like cutouts in the back?
I think
I'm not sure.
Probably either cutouts or trading cards or something like that.
Either way, I think they look cool. And I like the use of the Spider-Man logo from the retro card. I think I've thought about doing that before. I haven't with the display yet, but I think that's a cool idea to use just something as simple as the box to add to your display. Another
eco-friendly display option there.
That's right. Yeah. My only critique, I wonder if, I don't know, if it might be, for me, a little too cluttered in some ways, just because I would like to give a little bit more space to some of these characters for me. I'm not sure exactly how I would alter that.
I mean, I think for me, if I would maybe just like bring Hobgoblin up and over to the side, which, maybe there's some space issues where he's as far off as he can be. But if Hobgoblin was moved over and then maybe Red and Blue Spider-Man was brought down a little, you could see Doc Ock a little more.
Yeah.
And maybe which Black Cat's kind of a hard one to pose with her tiny feet, but bring her into the front because I can hardly see her behind Green Goblin and Scorpion's tail there.
I didn't even see her.
But as far as like you said, like a comic book cover of, just packing in a ton of villains, this is a pretty cool display.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Ethan, and we're bringing in some of the glass display cases, which I don't think we've seen quite yet, but we will as we go through. But he's got these kind of grouped with the teams, and then I've got the close-up shot here of the Avengers team. This one, pretty cool. Again, using the risers. You've got the flight stand with Falcon up there. I think just having those dynamic poses with like Hawkeye reaching for the quiver, Bucky's down there on a knee. Pretty cool. We've got even an MCU Spider-Man snuck in there.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Red and blue, so it works. Black Panther's hitting the Wakanda Forever pose.
I'll allow it.
I will say I have a question of what do we have with Ant-Man and Giant Man in the same display? Is it supposed to be like a Scott Lang and Hank Pym type of setup?
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't have any glass display cases myself, but
yeah, we're not that fancy yet. But
looks a little more clean and professional.
Right. I would agree with that for sure. Connor has got some teams going on here. Of course, we've got the X-Men and Avengers. I think right off the bat, both of them I like the posing. I really like the Avengers posing one though. I think Iron Man, that's a great pose for that Iron Man.
That is.
I think
you think that's at the 80th or is that a?
Yeah, that's the 80th.
Okay. I don't know if there was a Mezco mixed in.
No, I'm quite certain that's the 80th.
Okay.
But I mean the little things like even like the way you place like the foot and the knees on a flying character can make it look way better. So I think that's cool. I like Cap's pose. Thing looks actually really good back there too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say with this one definitely really good posing on both of them just to get those ensemble shots.
Yeah. I think for me, I like the Black Panther pose, and then is this a Mafex Gambit, or is that just a custom cape or custom softwoods jacket?
I think it might be the Mafex, dude.
Okay.
I think so.
The more I see that, the more I want that. So I'm a little jealous.
I know you thought about it.
If they ever do a reissue, I'm tempted.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Got the risers and the flight stands. I think maybe if we had some risers on the Avengers display, we could get a few more characters in there.
Right.
Because I'm always trying to display more characters, but I also like the less is more type of mentality. So, yeah, kind of a battle within myself there.
The battle within.
Now, this one, Jordan, I thought you would really like. This is from Dapper Dan, and it's one of, I think, the best MCU displays because typically I don't really like MCU Marvel Legends that much, but this is, to be fair, these are a little bit more on the higher end of the figures. I think we've got some SHF and maybe some Mafex, different characters like that. Still some Legends mixed in, though.
Right.
Got the scaffolding dial up there.
Oh, yeah. That's where my eyes went to right away. I think that's a cool way to recreate the No Way Home scene going on.
We got a close-up on the Spider-Man chase from the Into the Spider-Verse movie. So
right.
Lego Spider-Man down there. Peter B. Parker's trying to stop everybody. And these are just some crazy dynamic chase scene.
Even the Far From Home one, where he's like flying. That's like a sweet pose for that. And the Lego Spidey.
Yeah, those are all cool.
That's really creative.
The next one I thought you would like is probably one of the best scenes I've ever seen with Sandman, where they put sand on the shelf and then he's reaching his hand in and you can see his hand grabbing the box there, MJ.
Oh, an actual sand. That's a bold move, Dakota. Not a lot of people, maybe even myself included, would be bold enough to introduce sand into my displays.
Strong breeze in there, and it's going to be a mess.
But it looks really cool. I agree with you. I like that look, and MJ's even kind of like sinking in a little bit, it seems. So, yeah, that's sweet, man. That's really creative.
And that's another Batman display for you. Simple, but it works.
Yeah, I like the. That's got to be a custom smoke thing, I'm guessing.
I assume this is from the SHF line, and I'm not sure what accessories it came with, but it looks like an easy enough thing to customize yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that looks really cool. I think maybe you'd mentioned before the idea of some lights, maybe even like the red light would look really cool to kind of get that vibe from the movie and the promo stuff. But I think that's a nice, simple one that highlights those characters. And then Rush has quite the mighty Hall of Armor, I must say. This is one of the coolest Hall of Armors I think I've seen.
Yeah.
Just the amount that you've got in there. What are these? Because I know there's that Hall of Armor set. Is this something different than that though, or is
I think this
multiples?
it might be that, or I've seen some people do some custom
Okay.
like 3D printed displays. This I don't
Yeah.
know if it would be that, but it's impressive. I don't know what it is exactly.
Yeah,
But
that's a really cool way to display all your Iron Man.
Got Hasbro's. I don't know what the Hulkbusters are down here.
Yeah.
But then you've got Pepper Potts. You've got Rhodey down there working on the War Machine armor.
Right.
That's a pretty good Hall of Armor.
Yeah.
Also from him, we've got the Gargoyles display. Didn't have a lot of Gargoyles display, so I had to throw this one in there. I do love my Gargoyles. We've got the whole clock tower. It's night. Otherwise, if it was daytime, they'd all be stone.
Absolutely.
You've got the little gargoyles like as part of like the decoration of the castle. Very cool.
I know you'd like to have a gargoyle display this big, Dakota, if you had the space.
And it's kind of cool too. He's got the empty room over here on the side for more releases because we're going to have Cold Stone coming out and just other characters. So smart move.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Planning for the future. I think this is the last one from him. This is a little bit more of the classic displays. So you've got your He-Man, you've got your TMNT, Transformers, Voltron. The background of these, I think, are really cool. I think for me, this would probably get lost in YouTube, which is what I'm kind of trying to display for. But if I was just setting up something for me to like walk by and look at, this is really cool.
Yeah, the backgrounds look sweet. I like the little logos you have for each shelf. And the lighting. The lighting really helps it. Because if imagine if those lights weren't there, right?
Right.
It would be totally different. So again, a small feature, but if you use the lights well, I think that can definitely highlight just your whole display and bring stuff out. That's cool.
No notes there. Next up is JJ. And this brings me back to when I first got back into collecting. I was kind of like, I'm just going to keep my collection to kind of the walk-in closet. Not a ton of room, but I'm just going to keep my collection. I don't need to be like in everybody's face. Now I'm like, hey, everybody, this is my stuff. Come look at it. Right. But we got the kind of boards up on top of the shelf there so that the figures can stand and they're not falling into the grates. Similar to how I showed at the beginning, we've got the sealed figures and then using those boxes as kind of extra stands for your loose figures to stand on top of. And then over here, we've got the villains display, which is a nice pyramid up to the top of Galactus.
Yeah, I think that's a cool use of the perspective, especially if like they're that high up. I think that would look really sweet, like seeing that in person, like looking up at that where, nice symmetry there. I got to say, I mean, that's like, it's like you had to do some equations so you got all those placed right. But that's a really cool looking villains display for sure.
And then this is another close-up of the shelf with I was impressed with how many different lines were able to be put in here and like how they actually fit so well. Because we've got the Marvel Legends with like Cyclops and Beast, or like, Hasbro Marvel Legends, but then there's the Toy Biz Archangel up there, Toy Biz Rogue, which rarely can get worked into a scene and look good, but with her being in the background, it works, I think, here.
Nightcrawler and Cable, too.
True. And Gambit.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Mezco, Wolverine. You've got, I think that's the Diamond Select Colossus. Yeah. And that's the Dark Days of Hasbro Kid Prime.
Yeah, I'm impressed that he worked that Rogue in. I mean, that's regardless one of the ugliest, but I didn't even notice that's what that one was. So yeah, great blend, because I think most people, it's like Toy Biz, you just can't make it compatible, but I think this makes it work pretty well.
Yeah.
Then Giancarlo's got a little Star Wars display going on. Dakota, I've dabbled in the Star Wars lines. I never quite managed to get a display together, but I like Vader being the centerpiece. I'm having a little Hamlet moment there, talking to his helmet. Little battles. And those lightsabers look cool, poking out
Yeah.
at different angles. I would like maybe in some ways if you could like space it a little bit differently, so like the Vaders don't kind of clump together would be my main note on that. Maybe just,
Mhm.
but I don't know. Maybe it's just the perspective. I guess I don't know
True.
what
Yeah.
angle you're looking at this, but maybe that's the ideas.
Yeah. They did send me some extra angles. This was the only picture I pulled from
Right.
it, but I was thinking to add in some, and I don't know what the display area is here, but if there's some way to hang some like either TIE fighters or X-Wings up
Ooh.
above, maybe like smaller ones just to kind of have in some of those flying type of aspects of Star Wars. It'd be kind of cool. Next up, Jordan, thought you would like this Classic Monsters display from Jaden using the
I
glass
do.
display case with the lights in there. Got some
Mm-hmm.
close-ups here.
Yeah, I love the NECA, especially the monster boxes. I think look
Mm-hmm.
really cool with those posters and like promo looking material. Um, so yeah, I keep those for mine as well, and I think those can be fun to display with your figures for sure. Oh yeah, that looks really cool.
Yeah, I was thinking this like goes beyond like home displays, and this looks like a like San Diego Comic Con like
Ooh,
showcase of like, hey, we
right.
just revealed these figures and go look at them in the
Mm-hmm.
display case.
Yeah, like you get it with the box and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
see what you get.
Yeah.
Totally. Nostalgic Collector has the I think I might have some of these shelves actually.
I did.
You
I
kinda-
did for sure. Yeah.
I think I have these maybe when I put like my little totes in them and stuff. But yeah, these are nice because it's like segmented
Mm-hmm.
for you. I think that's a cool way to get like specific scenes for each one. So yeah, you got the Avengers, X-Men, your bad guys, and then I do like seeing books
Mm-hmm.
with figures. I think looks cool. Um, so I think that's a good way to get all those in. Oh yeah, I like Phoenix pose is cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that Avengers. That one's cool too, though.
Mm-hmm.
You got the She-Hulk in there, already worked
Yeah.
into the display.
Recent
I like
photo.
it. That's right.
Next up, we've got Sierra Poems. Might be saying your name wrong, but I like the way you display. So we're starting off with just a simple Marvel Legends.
Mm-hmm.
Only 4 characters here, but I think the photo of it looks really good with Beetle
Yeah.
kind of flying up above there. But I wanted to show off some of the Star Wars vintage stuff that he sent us.
Whoa.
So we've got the kind of Dio here with, I don't know, just a lot of folks in
Mhm.
Jabba's palace.
Right.
Here's a
Oh,
cool
that's
way
really
to have
nice.
a light.
Yeah. The rebels looking at the plans. That's really cool lighting.
And this is probably the best like crowd scene I think I've
Mhm.
ever seen from any display, because the number of characters that he was able to fit into this shot, and they're all like, it just looks like a busy, you know, town center that everybody's doing their own
Right.
thing, but kind of interacting with some.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's full, but it's not like it's just cluttered and they're all
Right.
crammed in there.
And he was
Yeah.
saying that he changes his displays every 2 to 3 weeks too. So,
Oh wow.
which is great, because I'd be like, oh, this is amazing. I can't display any better than this. I'm going to leave this up for like months.
This one's staying, baby.
Right.
Yeah.
But and which I think is kind of a cool thing to do with your figures, where you set up something super cool and then you just
Mhm.
take it down and restart
Right.
and do something new. So
Like a Banksy.
yeah. I
The
don't know what that
Radical
is.
Dent, a Banksy. He's that he's that artist. He makes like things in public and they usually get torn down or taken away right away.
Okay.
All right. The Radical Den went all in on the Green Lantern Corps, and I think it works pretty well. I like, first of all, having the separation of all the Green Lanterns and the variants below, and then you got your other color-specific lanterns. But I still like that you got Hal Jordan. I believe that's the NECA Hal Jordan. Looks pretty cool. And then even Necron in there. That's a good use of all the Green Lanterns for sure, though.
Next up, we've got Joseph Hazel, which made it in just in time because we had to. This is our second take of this episode. Connection was too bad. We had to scrap it, restart it, and Joseph was able to squeeze in.
Mm-hmm.
I put this one in just because I don't know what these are.
Yeah, me
but they're
neither.
cool. Like, I feel like I've maybe seen the Spider-Man and maybe Captain America, but I don't know what it is. But it looks kind of cool, kind of a little techno-y Soul Calibur
Yeah,
take on
right.
Marvel.
Yeah,
So
please let us know,
yeah,
Joseph, what these are, but they do look sweet.
here's kind of another Hall of Armor Iron
Mm-hmm.
Man display. This These look too expensive to be Marvel Legends. that
Yeah,
looks
they're way too shiny.
that looks like a lot of money on that shelf. That Hulkbuster on the side there, that looks pretty cool. I think that's the one that I don't know if I can't remember what company it is, if it's
Yeah.
Hot Toys or what, but you can fit
Mm-hmm.
one of these Iron Mans in it.
Oh,
That's
wow.
nuts.
That's
Crazy.
wild.
Tell me how much money is on this shelf right here. I think we should. Street Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
If you've been listening to our live streams, you know Jordan and I have been fighting about the Jada Toys
Oh,
Street
my
Fighters.
goodness. Yeah, you're right.
I don't
But
know who this Chicken Blue is, but they don't make them like that anymore. I'll tell you that.
which one are you talking? Oh, wow.
Center stage
Yeah.
there.
Oh, boy. You're right. They certainly don't, Dakota. Um, that's cool, though. Cool Street Fighter display.
Yeah. And then last up, some things that we're a little more familiar with the Marvel Legends. We've got the X-Men display here with two different levels of team. I think I've never done this, and I don't know that I ever will unless it's a super cheap figure. But I think it'd be kind of cool to saw Kitty Pryde in half and kind of like put half of her on top and half of her on bottom.
I think this kind of gets, for me, the phasing effect. It looks a little bit, though, with her being on angled like that. But yeah, I agree. That would be, that'd be cool to see.
And you got some custom characters down here on the bottom, too, with Banshee and Nightcrawler. I don't know who that is exactly, or who the other two are. Mimic, maybe.
Yeah, definitely some customs going on. Very cool. Judge Dreads, right away. I like the incorporating the figures into like the living room. I think is a cool idea where you got your shelf, and then you've got some of them around the TV. Some variations of different lines and scales. I think works pretty well. And then we got, again, kind of mixing of lines, right? We got a Legion. Is that a Legion troll? And then I think it's a Masters of the Universe. I don't know. It's like a Robo Godzilla thing, I think. Yeah. Not sure on what they all are. But I think that's fun. Crossing the streams, as it were. Kind of some fantasy general figures. You got the Conan, Legion. I even see Caveman Batman back there.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun. Same thing here too, right?
Yeah.
We got Iron Fist with a red Iron Fist with a trident. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody display red Iron Fist, but I appreciate that. I think that's fun. And the flame effect is pretty cool too.
I think it's kind of an interesting idea to have him, because it's kind of like a dragon display with the other characters, but then since he's like the fist of the dragon, he's got the dragon tattoo. I was like, kind of interesting to choose to display him with the dragons. Next up, we've got Jesse. So this, in the last video I did, there was some comments saying that they didn't like when people displayed the same character several times. So I wanted to make sure that we had in some character or some displays that were only of one character many times.
Yeah.
So I think this is a really cool way to do it. Having the different Marvel Legends with X-23, you've even got the Hero Clicks, the statues, the comic books, graded comic books. You've got a pop back there, got it on sale, I see. You've got the Ms. Marvel, the same thing with except more. You've got the mask, kind of like Barbie type characters, maybe a Hot Wheel down there, Pops, the bangles, even the plushie that Ms. Marvel has in the show, cups, backpack. I think it works all really well. I couldn't tell you what you're missing from Ms. Marvel. That looks pretty complete. The only thing that I know of that you're missing from the X-23 is the purple suit. Oh, no, you got that back there too. Never mind. Checked all the boxes.
You're wrong, dude.
I'm wrong. It is complete.
That's cool. Comic Anime Figs has some cool examples of custom effect pieces, which I think definitely can help enhance your displays or even solo figures. I love the way that cap looks. That Quicksilver one is really cool. And that ice slide's nice. Oh, and they're all cool. I mean, I think those are definitely cool, especially the ones that can be lit up. I think that adds a lot.
If you had to pick one to put in your Christmas stocking, Jordan,
Ooh.
which one would you hope to show
Oh
up?
man,
Only one.
only one. I really like. I think that Nightcrawler one's pretty cool because I could also
Mhm.
use that with Sam's custom amethyst. A little
Oh, that's
burst
true.
of purple energy or something going on.
Okay.
Um, but I don't know. They're all pretty neat.
I think my number one would be the ice slide because I think Iceman just needs it, and Marvel
Yeah,
Legends is never going to give us a proper ice slide.
that's you're probably right
So,
on that.
next up, this is from T3 Collects, and this was actually,
Mm-hmm.
we came up with this idea for this episode while we were on his live stream. So if you haven't watched
Mm-hmm.
that, go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got all of his figures in box.
Mm-hmm.
He's got all the retro cards up on the wall. He's got the Crow poster there. He's got some Motu figures, which are in kind of like a Motu
Yeah.
store display thing, which is pretty
Right.
cool. I think if I was going to be displaying my sealed figures, I would like to get some of those. If I had a lot more room, like I would be trying to grab some of those from different stores.
Mm-hmm.
Not the biggest fan of in-box collecting, but I do love when the retro cards are displayed on the wall, box stacked up on the bottom. You know, my points there for me, but
you know, he'll allow.
collect how you like to collect. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And to finish off, I couldn't get the video into the slideshow, so I'll just play the video and then we'll talk about it. So here's a video.
Hey Google, it's showtime.
By the power of Grayskull, I have the power.
Hey Google, tell me about Collection A2.
Universal Classic Monsters is a media franchise rooted in horror films produced by Universal Pictures from the 1930s to the 1950s. It began with adaptations of literary works like Dracula and Frankenstein. The success of these films led to sequels and crossovers, establishing Universal as a hub for horror. The studios...
So Jordan, what did you think of that impressive display?
I didn't even know you could do that, Dakota, to be quite honest with you. I think that's really neat though. To me, it has like I don't know, that's like a curation more than a display. But I mean that in the best way possible. I think that's really cool to be able to have it narrate your individual shelves.
I agree. I did not know that was possible, but now that I've seen it, I want to try to do that down the road with my collection. So we'll see if I can pull it off. Let us know your thoughts. Would you like us to do more videos like this? Which was your favorite display? Should we do another video like this so you can send in your stuff if you didn't send it in for this one? Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay strong.